There she go. Yeah. Yeah, man. There she go.
Yes, sir. 10.
Now I be thinking about her every time I drive through her.
What up, YouTube? Thanks for tuning in to another episode of What You Talking About? I'm your host, Supercurt. This is my co-host, jmac.
What's good, YouTube?
And we got Ricky G on the line.
What's up, Austin, Texas?
In today's show, we're bringing you the top 5 tight ends in the NFL. Also, we're bringing you the top 5 defenses in the NFL the 2012 season.
I'll go and start off with top 5 tight ends. I'm almost sure it's going to be unanimous. Obviously, I don't know what my two co-parts here are going to say, but I got Rob Gronkowski, number 1. He set records last year. 17 touchdowns, 1,327 receptions, yards, 90 receptions, no fumbles. Every time he got hit, he held on to the ball. He actually broke a lot of tackles half the time, too.
Right.
He's a cover nightmare. I don't think there's too many people as far as linebackers that can cover him. Very fast, 6'6", 265 pounds, stout. Jimmy Graham from the New Orleans Saints is my number 2. 99 receptions last year, 1,310 yards. 11 touchdowns, only 1 fumble, and it was a lost fumble too. It was actually a turnover at the end of the day. He's a 6'7", so he's an inch taller than Gronkowski. He weighs the same, 265 pounds. He's a pretty stout dude himself. He's going to be a huge target for Drew Brees this year.
Right.
Always has been. I think he'll continue that way. Number 3, I got Jason Witten. Very, very impactful player for the Dallas Cowboys. Him and Romo are, they click. That's the main target for him. He had 942 yards, a little bit down from his previous years. In 2009, had 1,030 yards, and 2010 he had 1,002 yards. So he did drop down a little bit. Had 5 touchdowns, 1 fumble, but did not lose that fumble. So he was able to get it back, or somebody on his team recovered it. 6'6", 265 also. So number 3, 1, 2, and 3 are all the same height, same weight. So your stature is obviously there. I think that stands out. Aaron Hernandez, the number 2 tight end for the New England Patriots, is my number 4. 910 yards, even with the person on the other side getting 1,327. He still managed to get 910 yards. 13 touchdowns. So he was obviously a huge target for Tom Brady last year. Keep a lookout for him this year. I think he might even move up a little bit more. Be kind of almost neck and neck with probably Gronkowski a little bit closer. Number 5 was kind of a toss-up for me. I had Tony Gonzalez and Vernon Davis, 5A, 5B type deal. Both are pretty big dudes, very fast. Vernon Davis is a little bit on the smaller side. He's 250 pounds, 6'3", but he's massive. The dude has muscles. He has great hands. He caught a very clutch touchdown pass last year to push him further into the playoffs. So watch out for them too. But that covers my top 5 right there.
I got pretty much the same. I got Gronkowski as 1. I got Jimmy Graham obviously at number 2. Actually, I got Witten at number 3.
All
so
right.
we're the same right there. Where we differ, I got Vernon Davis at 4.
Okay.
With his 792 yards last year, six touchdowns. I think he's going to do a little bit better this year with the addition of Randy Moss on there. Giving him a little bit of a deep threat, and it'll open him up a little bit more. So I think his numbers will be a little bit better. I put Aaron Hernandez at my 5th, just basically because he's playing with Gronkowski,
right.
and I think playing with the top guy in the league, your numbers are gonna drop a little bit. So that's why I got
still hit
910.
He's still pretty good. He's 90 yards away from 1,000. It's pretty good.
What do you got, Rick?
My top 3 are exactly like y'all. I got Gronkowski number 1, obviously. Jimmy Graham number 2. Jason Witten number 3. Just because they kind of bring the total package. They can block, they can pass, they got speed, they got great hands. So I never doubt them. They're always going to get their numbers. And of course, my top 2 led the league in yards and receptions, basically.
Right.
Number 3 is kind of number 4 is kind of where it differs for me. I actually got Vernon Davis because I think that overall, I think Vernon Davis is more of actually a pure tight end than anybody. I think he blocks really well in that proof because he wasn't really getting the ball a lot in previous seasons. He stuck it out, and last year he had a great season. Not numbers-wise, not anything career type, but I mean he did have a good season overall. He's a key player on that offense, and they have plays specifically for him. Like when those you got in the end zone, there's a big body, you give him the ball, he's going to take care of business for you. And my number 5 actually is Jermichael Finley. I like Jermichael Finley a lot. I think him and Aaron Rodgers have built a good rapport with each other. There's a lot of weapons on that offense, and I think that could take away some of his touches, but I think that's where his talent comes in, and he makes more of his catches. He makes more of his receptions that he gets. So that's why I have Jermichael Finley. I I like what y'all said about Gonzalez, and that kind of stuff. You can even throw in Brett Davis, Antonio Gates, those types of dudes who are like consistent, obviously, over their career. But I just think that Gonzalez is on the downside of his career. I don't think he's going to be able to put up the same type of numbers, which is kind of proven to me last year: 80 receptions, 875 yards, and 7 TDs. Normally, he's the go-to red zone guy, like he was in Kansas City. But with that offense coming up now, they got 2 wide receivers. Just ridiculous.
Right.
So I think that his numbers are actually going to slip a little bit. But on that note, I do want to say Tony Gonzalez, in my opinion, is probably the best tight end to ever play the position. But like I said, he's on the downside of his career, so I can't really put him in the top 5 going into the season. Man, that's my top 5.
Jermichael Finley was actually right there for me too. Actually, he was going to be one of my honorable mentions. You already said it. Him and Aaron Rodgers developed a great rapport over the last few years. And
I think Aaron Rodgers has so many weapons that his numbers will be,
they're
a little bit lower. That's why
they'll be in the mid range, but he's still going to be a valuable asset to that team. Also, keep an eye out for Greg Olsen from Carolina Panthers. I think him and Cam Newton. Thank you, golly. I think they built a really good chemistry last year. I think they're going to build off of that this year. He's going to be a huge target for him. Those are my kind of lookout for guys. Keep an eye out for them. I think they're going to make a lot of noise this year.
All right, we're going to go into top 5 defenses. Rick, you want to start us off?
Yeah, sure, man. My number 1, of course, I think it's I would like to say mutual consensus. I think a lot of people on TV, a lot of us have been talking about it. The 49ers coming into this year, they got all 11 starters returning. They only allowed 77.3 rushing yards per game, so that's like ridiculous.
Yeah, it is.
They got rookie Aldon Smith. He had 14 sacks last year as a rookie. Now, 14 sacks, that's a lot for any kind of defensive lineman, but the fact that he got 14 sacks on his own as a rookie, that speaks volumes. So he's through the roof with his potential. And they also had 38 takeaways on the entire season. So, the 49ers are definitely a force to be reckoned with. They're definitely my number 1. My number 2, I actually got the Lions. Their front 7 is just ridiculous. You got Ndamukong Suh as their beast, as their anchor for that. And if Nick Fairley can put it together, the way he played in college, that guy is also a force to be reckoned with. So, with those guys up there, if they can get together, they can literally be unstoppable and get to the quarterback quite a bit and really disrupt a lot of game plans. They had this guy named Averill as his last name. I forgot his first name. I'm sorry, but he had 11 sacks and he had 6 forced fumbles by himself. He was one of the holdouts this year. I think they actually re-signed him recently, so that's a good re-sign for him. Tola, the linebacker, he's a beast. He had 111 solo tackles last year. So, and as the unit as a whole had 34 takeaways, so you can't overlook that. Definitely up and coming, young guys, great defense. My number 3 is actually the Bears. I like them. They've always been a good team. They're always on the downside a little bit, but not as many as other teams that I left out. In age, what I mean. They still come up. They had the number 1. They had They were last in pass defense last year, but they had 6 defensive touchdowns due to obviously Devin Hester on the special teams unit and stuff like that. But with Urlacher, Briggs, and Julius Peppers, they're still one of the best trios in the league. They had 33 sacks last year, and Peppers had 1/3 of that. So as a team, 33 sacks as a team, and he had 1/3 of that. So that speaks volumes for him. My number 4, I have the Packers. I think that they slipped a little bit last year, but you can't overlook the talent that they have on the field. Hogg, all those dudes, Woodson, all those dudes, man, they're all playmakers. They all do it. They just can't give up 411 yards per game. So, I don't see that happening again, but, definitely, if anything's a possibility, I just don't see it happening, so I definitely put them as my number 4. And my number 5 might come as a shocker, but not to me, really. I think the Buffalo Bills are going to be in the top 5 defenses in the league. In their first 5 games last year, they had 16 takeaways in their first 5 games. That speaks a lot, and that's not with any of the additions that they've had over this past year. They added Mario Williams from the Texans, and they also added Mark Anderson, who was a lineman from the Patriots. He had 10 sacks by himself last year, but nobody was talking about that, So I think that's a really great addition to their line. They got proven linebackers, Nick Barnett, Kirk Morrison, and Kelvin Shepard. So their defense is definitely on the rise. They had 16 takeaways, like I said, in the first 5 games, and they're definitely on the up and up. Once they can get Terrence McGee back from his torn patella tendon, I think that their defense is going to be ready. I left out Pittsburgh and the Ravens, obviously. Those are the 2 key ones that everybody probably sees. But I just see that they're getting older. I think it's starting to show their game. It's still there. They're still hard hitters, hard-nosed football players. But, I mean, they're a little bit slower. And, you know, they really didn't do too much last year. They did. They made the playoffs. You know, they were there. They were in the mix. But, like, when it came down to it, their defense really was kind of what was stopping them a little bit because teams were just scoring on them. So that's why I kind of left them out. And I think going into this year, that's my top 5 for sure.
Okay. Mine's definitely different. The only one that we had in common was number 1. 49ers led the league in turnover ratio last year, as you mentioned. Huge. Their 3-man line in the front, Justin Smith, Ray McDonald, and Isaac Sopoaga. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. I apologize if I pronounced that incorrectly. And then Alden Smith, like you mentioned, Rick, the dude was crazy good last year. He has brute strength, the quick first step. He can swim off that offensive lineman really quick, get right by him, no problem for him. One of the best linebacker cores in the league, Patrick Willis and Navarro Bowman. Both are tremendous linebackers.
Patrick Willis might be the best in the league. You know,
for sure. He's definitely up there. So other than what Rick had to say, that's pretty much all I had to add to it, man. Enough said there. My number 2 is still the Pittsburgh Steelers, actually. You know, Troy Polamalu, the defensive coordinator, Dick LeBeau, still one of the best defensive coordinating minds in the league. Definitely got burned by Tebow last year on a kind of a fluke play, I think, but still one of the best. His blitz packages catch everybody off guard, so they still don't know how to read the defense half the time. Excuse me. Ravens, my number 3. As Rick said, they're getting a little bit older, but Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Terrell Suggs got hurt, towards ACL playing some basketball at the end of the football season. Ended up tearing his knee, but maybe he'll come back, maybe not. But even so, he's still going to be there, spiritually, for motivation and all that. He's still a leader of that team. He's still going to be there to impact it, even off the field. And Nagata is a great pass rusher. Just like Alden Smith has a really good first step, can get through that center, no problem. So keep an eye out for them. The New York Jets is my number 4. Rex Ryan, still, the Ryan brothers in general are known for their defensive packages. They're always there in the league. Bart Scott, what else can I say about them dudes? Rough, raw, real. And my number 5, I got the Texans. Watch out for the Texans this year. They did really good last year. I believe they were number 1 in the league last year, or number 2. Number 2 in the league last year. I got them at number 5 this year, but just because I can't quite put them above the number 4, the other 4 that I have above them. So that rounds off my top 5 there.
Okay. Ours is pretty much the same. Like I got 49ers 1. But my number 2, I got the Eagles. I think they're going to make a big push this year.
I like that.
With Michael Vick, I think he's going to play better. Deshaun Jackson, I think he's going to play a lot better, and I think it's going to help the defense not be on the field as much, not give up as many yards, big plays. I think they'll be able to have their breath, and I think they'll play a lot better. So I put the Eagles as my number 2. My number 3, I put the Ravens. Like Jason said, I think they're still going to be an elite defense. They lost Terrell Suggs, but they still got Ray Lewis. And I think he's actually one of the best linebackers in the game also. That's ever played the game. He's still physical. He's still one of the people you don't want to line up and go up against, you know what I mean? Strong, he's lost weight in this offseason, so I'm thinking he's going to be a little bit quicker, still getting to the ball. So I got the Ravens as my 3. Number 4, I had the Jets, but then I switched them out with the Texans. Okay. I switched them out with the Texans.
I reversed
that one because, like you said, Wade Phillips, he's on there right now. They were number 2 last year in the league. I think they're going to be right around the same team, but I think they're going to be a more offensive sound team this year.
Matt Shaw coming back.
I don't think their defense is going to have to do as much. So I think their defensive numbers will be down a little bit, but I got the Texans as my number 4. Number 5, I got the Jets. I still think they're an elite team. I thought about Pittsburgh. I thought about the Broncos. Actually putting them in there. I thought their defense was going to last year. Yeah, they kept him in, and then now they got Peyton Manning. But I had to put the Jets at that 5. I think their defense is still elite. I think they were waiting on a quarterback situation. I think this year with Tebow, Mark Sanchez is going to have them playing better than they're expected. So I think the Jets is going to take my 5 spot.
Yeah, Eagles are right there for me too. I wrote down the Eagles, as well as keep an eye out for the Chiefs this year. Actually,
Chiefs.
I've been reading some good things about the Chiefs. Their additions this year, their coaching staff, everything's coming around. It seems like so. Watch out for the Chiefs this year. They're predicted to be a really high defensive team, and as well as the Seahawks. Oddly enough, something to throw out there. I just read it when I was doing a little bit of studying on my numbers here and everything. And Seahawks, keep an eye out for them. According to a few websites that I read, they're going to make a lot of noise this year apparently too. I believe when I see it because I don't really buy into the Seahawks too much, but keep an eye out for them for sure.
Yeah, watch out for Earl Thomas, y'all, Texans.
Yes, sir.
That's a Seahawks safety, if y'all didn't know that.
And recently, a couple of things happened with the Patriots. They're predicted, obviously, to be one of the favorites to go to the Super Bowl, if not win a Super Bowl. A lot of people are saying, 18-1 record, wiping through everybody pretty much. Their schedule is pretty much one of the weakest in the league. But they added Brandon Lloyd, but Joseph Adai recently failed his physical, got cut from the team, so the running game kind of took a step back. Adai to me is just an average running back, but he was a better running back than what they've had in the past few years over there.
Right.
And they also signed Asante Shenko. So their tight end core, they have three top tight ends. Shenko, Hernandez, and Gronkowski.
Right.
I don't know how much time Shenko's going to get in the whole
might
play, but
another position,
they might. But watch out for 3 tight end formations, stuff like that. But pretty much overall, what the question is, are they still favored to go to the Super Bowl? What are your predictions as far as what they're looking at to do next year?
I think they'll still have pretty much the same, New England season. I think they're going to win most of their games. They might lose 2-3 games.
Right.
I got them losing 2 next year. Getting to the Super Bowl, that's what I expect. I expect that from New England every year. Actually, last year they actually lived up to it, made it there. I thought they were a play away from winning it.
Right.
So, I think they'll be right back there. The Tom Brady's elite QB. They're going to make their push.
I definitely agree, actually. I think, 2, maybe 3 losses. They got to play the Jets. They got to play the Ravens. And I believe the Steelers, but I might be wrong about the Steelers. But I know they got to play the Ravens and Jets. Both of them will definitely be a competitive game, but I also predict them going to the Super Bowl out of the AFC.
Right.
I still think they're the best out of that core. Tom Brady, the receivers that we already mentioned, adding Brandon Lloyd, losing Ocho Cinco, which didn't do much last year. But Brandon Lloyd is going to be a massive target for Tom Brady, along with Wes Welker. They're definitely favored to go to the Super Bowl. As far as winning the Super Bowl, not sure yet. They were predicted to win the last 2 times they went, and they lost. To the underdog Giants. Both underdog, and they lost. So.
Maybe the Giants just have that number,
Maybe.
Every
now and then you have those.
Year, so. We'll see how it goes.
You have those teams that have people's numbers every now and then, but definitely favored to go to the Super Bowl. As far as winning it, we'll see. Got to see what the season brings. See what I see on when I start watching the games.
What's your take, Rick?
I actually think that they're not even going to make it to the Super Bowl, and I don't think they're going to win the Super Bowl. I think that it's kind of detrimental to them. They're a great team. I'm not taking anything away from them. I'm predicting maybe like 2 losses at the most also. But when you get into, and that's regular season losses, not including playoffs. But when you get to playoffs, it's a different ballgame, man. That proved it last year, They stepped it up when they needed to, but the team that was the underdog, my Giants, they beat them, just like they beat them before and stuff like that. So, I can't sit here and honestly tell you, even unbiasedly, biasedly or unbiased, I can't tell you that they're going to be the favorites because I don't believe that. I think that they have a great team. They have definitely a great chance to make it. But they're definitely not the favorites in my opinion. They're probably the favorites coming out of their conference just because, they've always had the talent. Like Curtis said, they always have a New England Patriots season, especially under Bill Belichick and Tom Brady at the helm. So, you can't overlook them at all. But I definitely don't see them as the favorite or as the Super Bowl automatic pick to win. So, no, that's my
Right. Yeah, definitely not an automatic win, but not even necessarily an automatic trip to the Super Bowl, but I definitely still think they're the favorites for sure.
Yeah, I think they're the favorites, hands down.
Schedule.
Yeah, just the schedule in general. Tom Brady coming back. They throw up so many points, and the reason I think they lost last year was not mainly offense. I think they scored enough points. Tom Brady did what he needed to do. I just thought their defense had some gaps in it, and I think they made enough additions this offseason, to help them out.
Compensate for it. I definitely agree with that for sure.
I also wanted to say, I kind of consider Aaron Hernandez more of like a slot receiver. I don't consider him a tight end because a lot of the big plays that he had, he was running in and out of the slot, and he was coming across the field. He's not really a great blocker at all, not at all in my opinion. And he's just a really great route runner with really great hands, and good field vision. So, I think those are all great qualities of a receiver in my opinion, not necessarily a tight end. So, in my book, I don't consider him a tight end. I consider him more of a slot receiver. And I just think that with all the offseason moves, rookies coming into that conference, there's a lot of teams that are going to step their game up. And a lot of people are predicting all this stuff based off of last year or previous season. But, this is a new year, a new game plan. The Patriots have been beat twice in the Super Bowl by my Giants, so there's obviously a recipe to beat them. And if anybody picks that up, I promise you, it's going to be a different story. I mean, a lot of people are just going off the history, and I'm one of those people. I'm not saying that I'm not, but I just don't think that they can even be a favorite, you know?
I think there definitely is a recipe for beating the Patriots, and that recipe is to get Tom Brady out of the pocket.
Right.
As soon as he gets happy feet when he gets out of the pocket, you put pressure on him, get him out of his position, make him have to run out of the pocket. He's not going to hit the open receivers as fast as he normally would. So there's definitely a recipe, and the Giants definitely had that with that front four that they have, putting tons of pressure on them every time they played. So it's definitely a recipe. If the defensive lines can start getting past that offensive line and put pressure on Tom Brady, like Rick said, it's a new season. If they can start figuring that out, Patriots just may not make the Super Bowl. So, we'll see.
That's a good point.
But just touch on a couple things real quick. Maurice Jones-Drew is officially held out. He's not reporting to camp. He's trying to get a renegotiation on his contract. He has 2 years, $9 million left. He wants a renegotiation. Jaguars completely said they will not renegotiate. You need to report, and he won't. As well as Mike Wallace, a person that Rick mentioned when we're going over the top receivers. Somebody to look out for is also holding out right now. He's not reporting to camp, and the Pittsburgh Steelers said, they're not going to pay him pretty much until he starts reporting. They're not joking around. They're not playing with it. So, watch out for that. We'll see when, as fast as they can get it back up, they can resign him.
If he doesn't sign in like a couple of days or so, I'm not going to pick him up on my fantasy team.
Yeah.
Forget about it, Drew and Mike
Wallace.
Yeah, they definitely have to be on the roster by the 7th when the draft is, for sure.
For sure. I'm not going to trust their performance.
Right. But last topic here, there's a fight coming up soon. I want to say in about 2 weeks, maybe 3 tops. Andre Ward versus Chad Dawson. Great fight. Dawson's moving down in weight from 175 to 168. Andre Ward just went through a super middleweight tournament, beat through everybody. Frock, Mikael Kessler,
like his hardest competition.
And he dominated him. It was an easy fight. 25-0, 13 KOs. Dawson 31-1 with 17 KOs. Great fight. What's your prediction on that fight? What do you think got going on?
Man, I like Dawson. Floyd Mayweather says Dawson is the second best fighter he's seen compared to him. Now, I don't know if he's seen Adrian Broner, anything like that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he has. But he said he's the most skilled. Actually, let me change mine. He said he's the most skilled that he's seen next to him so far. So that has me a little bit worried, but I want to pick Ward. I think Ward's going to do it. I think he has a little bit of advantage from Dawson coming down in weight. They say it's not going to matter too much because Dawson actually started there. Actually, and had his last fight was there, right?
No, he beat Bernard Hopkins rematch for the 175 title.
Okay, all right, yeah. And see, so I think it'll be the weight won't matter too much, but I think Ward will have a little bit of advantage.
Right.
I see Ward winning it, split decision. There'll be a second fight.
Right.
That's how I see it going. 12 rounds.
I agree. What do you think, Rick? What's your opinion on it?
I think it's definitely going to go to a decision. I think it's going to be a really great fight. Both of them are pretty technical fighters. I don't know if I agree with Dawson being the most, the second best behind Floyd. I don't know if I agree with that. I guess maybe just because I haven't seen that much of Dawson. I don't know. I thought I had, but I don't know what Floyd was kind of thinking. I'm a big Floyd fan too, so. But I think that it's going to be a good fight. Both of them are, like I said, real technical. They hit hard. They're not any punks by any means. And that's pretty much all I can add on what Kurt said, because I pretty much like what Kurt said. I think Andre Ward's going to win it, in my opinion. That's just me.
I agree. We'll make it 3-0 again. As far as picking the winner, Andre Ward, I got also southpaw, quicker, more elusive. I think his defense is right up there as far as some of the best in boxing. And like I said, just his quickness, the way he puts his hands together, I think he's going to catch Dawson off guard. Dawson's not a joke. He's no joke for sure. He definitely can box. He's tough. He can hit. 17 knockouts isn't nothing to sneeze at for sure. But I think the quickness and just the elusiveness of Andre Ward's going to get it. As far as I agree with what Rick said. Also, the second best next to Floyd, Chad Dawson.
Yeah, I didn't agree with that either. I think I'm kind of like Adrian
I would
Broner.
put
I wanted to
Broner in
ask
front of
y'all what
Dawson,
y'all thought
just
about
based off of raw talent. It's
Did you
good.
see his last fight?
That kid doesn't really have like a top tier trainer at all, and you look what he's doing to these opponents. Granted, they're not any kind of like big name fighters, but that's how every fighter starts out. You fight the scrubs, you get your shot. And when Adrian Broner gets your shot, I think he's definitely going to prove why he could possibly be, and I say possibly, and arguably, however you want to put it, be the second best fighter in the sport. That's just me.
I definitely, he has the same technique as Floyd Mayweather for sure.
I think he
watch
needs
his
work.
last fight. He needs some work.
Yeah.
He needs to realize that he's still not the best in boxing, man. He's still a young,
Exactly.
22 years old. still has a lot to prove. And as great as he is, and he does have skill, and he knows he has skill, and I can appreciate you knowing what your talent is.
Right.
But he also has to realize he's still a young cat, trying to move his way up in boxing, see what he can do against some real competition. But his last fight, he looked tremendous in it, but he did come overweight, a little bit unprofessional in my opinion.
Yeah,
according to rumors, he was eating Twinkies and stuff like that, not even trying to make the weight. It seemed like he was kind of lackadaisical with it. Don't appreciate that too much, but he's moving up to 140, I believe, is his next fight. That's where some money's at right
he
there.
He called out Marquez. He called out who was it? Brandon Rios. He called out all them guys out.
Yeah, Brandon Rios to the catch.
There's definitely some fighters that he needs to be fighting, and there's definitely going to be some fights that he's going to be able to get at 140. So watch out for Adrian Broner. I think he, as far as skill-wise and the way he moves, second closest thing I've seen to Floyd Mayweather in quite some time. Actually, ever, to be honest. Technique's pretty similar.
Yeah, I think he got hit. He tried it a little bit too much.
Yeah.
And he got hit. He needs to work on his
shoulder
roll, but he did pretty good.
Yeah.
Hey, I was also going to tell you about that Twinkie thing, man. He actually came out and said, and I think it was in a post-fight interview, actually, he said that HBO asked him in a tweet, we don't really see any weaknesses of Adrian Broner. What is the weakness of Adrian Broner? And that's why he took the picture of that Twinkie. He said, Twinkies are my weakness. So to me, I think it was kind of like HBO trying to, beef up the stuff and all the drama on the stuff, because he just kind of laughed it off. He was like, come on, man, y'all asked me that question. And then Max Kellerman was like, oh, really? So he kind of, so HBO asked you, and he said, yup, and that was the end of it. So that was just my little input about that.
Regardless, he didn't make weight, and, when you're a professional fighter, you need to make weight. You need to make weight, man. He was going to the
I agree with that. I agree 100% with that.
All right, guys. Well, listen.
I don't think that the Twinkie. I don't think that had anything really to do with him not making weight and him trying to boast that he wasn't going to make weight.
Right. I feel you.
All right, guys. Well, this segment right here is called "Are You Kidding Me?" Rick, you want to kick us off?
Yeah, man. I was actually doing some reading on the internet, like I always do, and I came across a story about this guy. He was messing with his guns, right? His personal weapons. He was cleaning them, kind of messing around with them, and he actually shot himself in the head. So after he went to go get treated, he called the police and was like, hey, can y'all come over here and show me how to make my guns more safe for my household? So when they came up there, he led them up to the room where his weapons were. It just so happened that in this room, it was an entire marijuana cropping, growing area. So his whole second story was dedicated to raising and growing all these weed plants, and he invited the cops up there to go and make his weapons safer. So my thing to him is, are you kidding me, dog?
For real.
This
fool is now enjoying a federally funded vacation in a federal prison, y'all.
Word, man, that's some stupid stuff, dude. You just shot yourself in the head. That make you dumb at the same time, man. You're probably already dumb messing around shooting yourself in the head. You got to be pretty dumb, man.
No, he shot him himself in the head.
Oh, in the hand. Okay. Regardless, man, you still got to be pretty dumb, man. Regardless. Are you kidding me? I was watching First Take today, actually, and found out that the University of Washington and the University of LSU have offered scholarships to two different 13-year-old 8th graders.
Yeah, USC also.
It's been happening a lot recently. These kids are 13, 14 years old, man. You haven't even seen them play against high school students, and you're already offering them scholarships. I get you may see something talent in them. There's nothing wrong with just keeping your eye on them. To be offering scholarships to a 13-year-old kid and making them verbally commit to you, are you kidding me? What kind of 13-year-old can verbally commit to something that serious, man? Get out of here, man. That's some stupid stuff. Hayden Martell and Dylan Moses are the two people. They just need to, keep on playing football, man. Be a kid, man, and enjoy yourself. Don't be paying attention to that stuff till you get at least a junior in high school, where it really starts to matter to you.
You start getting some letters and you actually know what you're doing.
Yeah.
No, you're not just picking the school because of its color,
right?
Or the mascot. You're actually picking it off academics and what it can actually do for you in your future. So
you don't even know what's going to happen in the next. What is that? 5 years from now?
School might not even be good.
Exactly, man.
You could have some Penn State scandals. So take your time. All right, Are you kidding me? I actually have two today. I'm going to start off with this guy, Antoine Owens. He lives in Eugene, Oregon. That's a college town.
Right.
We're from a college town, so we know how it is. There's a lot of pretty girls in college towns. There's a lot of stuff to do in college towns. But what this guy does is he waits for you to leave your house. He scopes you out, waits for you to leave your house, then he breaks in. But he doesn't steal anything. What he does is he breaks in, looks on a porn site, and busts nuts all on your computer and on your mouse. Now this guy was caught. This guy was caught. Some guy came home from work and caught this guy. You know, he was coming out of the bathroom. He wasn't in the act. He didn't catch him in the act.